My name is Emily Johnson Young. I am a research and instruction librarian. So the sort of biggest things I do are I meet individually with students for research consultations. So students make appointments, they have research that they need to do, maybe they have a particular type of resource they need that they're having trouble finding. Sometimes students come very early on just for understanding how to find information in the first place. We also do help with citation, which is usually at the end. So that's definitely one of my favorite things that we do, that I do as a research and instruction librarian. And then we also do classes and workshops. Often professors will ask us to come in. We work with all the first year studies groups so that students coming in have a baseline level of knowledge about the library resources. And me and the other librarian in my department, we teach a credit class called Interrogating the Information Ecosystem, which is very fun. I don't know that it's that surprising to people who know me, but I am a very big nerd. My wife and I met Larping, live action role play. So we were running around in the woods in costume, fighting with, non-metal weapons, fake swords. And that's one of my big hobbies. We play Dungeons and Dragons, we do all that kind of stuff. So it's an acronym. It stands for live action role play, and I explain it different ways depending on who I'm talking to. If you're familiar with Dungeons and Dragons or role-playing, like tabletop role-playing games like that, it's similar to that, except often a bigger group, and instead of rolling dice and sitting at a table, you are actually moving around and you are acting as your character. To people who are less familiar with that, it's kind of improvisational theater, only with rules and fake swords, depending on what kind of LARPing you're doing. There's ones that do less of that. A lot of reading. I love to just be able to sit there and read, and a few years ago we bought a house, and so now most of my free time is spent ripping poison ivy out of my garden. This is a good question. It's a complicated question because there's a lot of different parts of life that I think have different inspirations. I think staying on the kind of nerd track, when I was 11, I read The Lord of the Rings, and that, Tolkien, The Lord of the Rings, that kind of inspired a lot of the creativity that has kind of continued to be a big thread in my life. I like to write a little bit, not really have people see it, but I like to. I like to read, I like to engage with kind of the narratives and the creativity and things like that, and that's been a really important part of my life. I want it to be a place where they feel comfortable learning. I know that when I was a student here, I went to undergrad here, I never talked to a librarian. I didn't feel comfortable acknowledging when I didn't know things. And I knew plenty, but there was also a lot that I didn't know. And so I think if the library can be a place where you really can learn, and to learn the best, that does come from being okay with not having all the answers right away. So cultivating that kind of atmosphere in the classes and the research consultations and in the library kind of as a whole is really important.
All right, that was great.
Wonderful.
You did wonderful.
Yay.